G'day, home group leaders. Well, we are starting next week on these 4 or 5 weeks focusing in on mission. So I'm really excited about this. This week is going to set the whole thing up for us, and it's a really important study. So I'm really looking forward to us as a church thinking about these things, going through the Hope Explored course, and also having Francis Cook visit our groups to talk about global mission in South America. But this week is a study that's taken from a new resource that's being developed by some evangelical Christian groups in the UK. And there's a talk this week by Rico Tice, who also does the talks in Hope Explored. And he's just a great communicator, and I think and pray you'll really benefit from him. This week's talk is all about why the journey is needed. So there is a 20-minute video. I'd encourage you as a leader to probably have a listen to that. I'll look through that, watch the video beforehand, so you've got a sense for what Rico says, and you can reflect on it yourself. It takes its lead from this verse in Acts 17. That's all about the way in which God sovereignly appoints people, so in their places and times. And it says God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. So this is the key question is, why should we journey with the people around us? Why should we journey with the people around us, particularly go on the journey of trying to seeking to introduce them to Jesus and the hope of the gospel? The aim is to see that God has placed everyone where they are in order that they would seek him and find him. It's no accident that we meet who we meet. God uses Christians in their unique circumstances to help people encounter Jesus. So we want to come away from this study really encouraged and enthused by the reality that God can use and does use Christians. He does use you and me in the relationships he has placed us in to help people encounter Jesus. And what an amazing thing that is. So there's an intro question here. What do you think your friends and neighbours would say the purpose of life is? So that's just to get us thinking about what in general in our society the purpose of life is. I've just put here, I've written a few brief notes in a different colour here. Recommend you split into pairs or triplets to discuss this and then report back. It's just a good way to get into it. Then we've got the video here, Why the Journey is Needed by Rico Tice. Steve sent you out a link to that. It's about 20 minutes long, so really helpful. Then the rest of the questions are really digging into what the video talks about. So that's from this point here, from the discuss point. So how does knowing that God's aim for the world is for people to meet Jesus affect our thinking about the purpose of our life? And I've just, there'll be lots that comes out there. I've written a few very brief responses. You can fill out your own, but essentially, I think it means we seek to line up our purpose with God's purpose, so that we can kind of go in line with, be ourselves in line with his purposes for the world. Take some time to think about the truth that God is the creator, sustainer, and ruler of your life, street, and community. So not just in the abstract, but specifically, directly, you in all the particular instances of your life. God is the creator, sustainer, and ruler of that, and of your neighborhood and community. How does this, and all the groups you're part of and everything, how does this give you confidence, and what does it mean as you share Jesus with others? So I've just, that'll just be something to sort of bring out as a group and chat through. Maybe you could split into smaller groups to discuss that. God has placed me where I am, and my neighbours, friends, and family where they are. And if my purpose is to help people to meet Jesus, then that the knowledge that God has sovereignly put me there, I think it really does give a confidence and an energy, because we have a direction and a purpose. It gives us peace, because it's not up to us. Like we're not the sovereign Lord, but we're invited to share in his work. So I think there's a real peace that comes from that. Next question. It's amazing that our all-powerful God still chooses to work through us as his principal means of drawing others to himself. As we reflect on those in our lives, you could focus on those that live near you. But other people might, choose to focus more on their community group or sport group that they're a part of. So it doesn't necessarily need to be those near you, but that's a good place to start. So this is where the study wants us to get more practical and personal. Take some time to write down and share your answers about the following questions. So probably just individually, a couple of moments in quiet just to write down. So get people to actually write down specific names of neighbours and people near them. So write down a name and then just write a few notes. What do I actually know about them? And that's, you'll see in the talk, Rico encourages us to have as a first step, just getting to know people is actually an act of love towards them and an expression of our desire for them to come to know Jesus. So write down, some things that you know, and about maybe, if people can have a number of people that is on their mind in this way, that would be good. What have I done or what could I do to serve them? That's another thing Rico talks about in the talk. Not just getting to know your neighbours and friends, but actively seeking ways to show kindness and love towards them. So that's a kind of just an exercise in, well, it's either thinking, I was able to drop around when that person moved in, dropped around and had a coffee with them just to get to know them, or something like that. But what could I do is an invitation to actually start to imagine, well, are there ways in which, we can work together in that and help each other to think of ways that we can get to know and serve our neighbours. Okay. More stuff here. How does knowing that there are times when it's okay to exit or shut up? That's also in the talk, and a really helpful point, I think. How does knowing that make you feel as you journey with people? So I've just written a few thoughts there. I think it just takes the pressure off every interaction, so you don't need to kind of ram the gospel into every conversation. But I think it also encourages this whole idea of wisdom in our relationships. It's not like there's a cookie-cutter textbook approach to every conversation or every relationship. It takes wisdom to respond individually to each person in each interaction as God is working in their life. So that's just some of my thoughts to that question, but you'll come up with many others, I'm sure. Have you made assumptions about how open people in your life might be to the gospel? I reckon probably the answer for all of us is yes. How can we avoid this and ensure that we see every encounter we have as a divine appointment that can be used in their journey towards Christ? There's probably lots of good answers to that will come out in your group. One thing, though, that I think, it comes right at the heart of it is actually making a dedicated effort to bring our neighbours and friends before the Lord in prayer, specifically for them. Specific prayer for all, and I'd encourage you to do this, and encourage your groups to do it. Make a habit of praying for all the non-Christian people in your life, in the sphere of your life, that knowing that God has placed them there and given you this purpose of sharing Christ. I think making prayer a regular habit like that, I think it does open your eyes to the opportunities God does give you, so that they don't need to be kind of manufactured or anything like that, but He will give opportunities to get to know and serve, and also to ask questions and seek to give a joyful witness to the gospel in their life. It'd be good to make sure you have a good amount of time praying as a group. Maybe you could split up into 2 to 3s again for that, and pray specifically for specific people. But see how you go for that. Okay, I pray that's a really helpful time in your groups next week. And the week after that, we'll be starting in Hope Explored. So I look forward to that, and I'll catch you later. See ya.